Cascading Divergence, 1940. An alternate world history begins. First story in a World War II alternative history saga about the world transformed by the untimely loss of Winston Churchill. Written by Ron Wood. Narrated by Peter McGiffin. Prologue. On the Brink. Part 1. Britain stands alone. In the spring and summer of 1940, Adolf Hitler's forces swept through Western Europe with shocking speed. The mighty French army, once thought unbreakable, collapsed in just 6 weeks. On June 14th, Paris fell, and soon after, the swastika flew over the Champs-Élysées. Belgium had surrendered, the Netherlands had been overrun, Norway was lost. The British Expeditionary Force, BEF, along with thousands of French troops, had been trapped along the coast. At Dunkirk, in a desperate and miraculous evacuation, over 300,000 British and French soldiers were rescued, ferried across the English Channel by a hastily assembled armada of naval vessels and civilian boats. It had not been a victory. Britain's army had returned home battered, unarmed and humiliated. They had left behind thousands of tanks, artillery pieces, and vehicles, the very equipment needed to fight a prolonged war. Now Hitler dominated the continent. Britain stood alone. Part 2. The Blitz. Through the summer of 1940, Hitler had prepared for an invasion of Britain, Operation Sea Lion. But Britain was not yet beaten. To invade, Germany needed air superiority. The Luftwaffe launched its full fury against the Royal Air Force, RAF, hoping to cripple Britain's defences and force surrender. The Battle of Britain raged through the skies. Young RAF pilots in Spitfires and Hurricanes fought relentlessly, scrambling day and night against waves of German bombers and fighters. By mid-September 1940, the battle was over. Britain had won, but at a terrible cost. Hundreds of RAF pilots had been lost. Entire squadrons had been decimated. Fighter Command had held on, just barely, denying Germany the control of the skies it needed to invade. Operation Sea Lion was abandoned. Hitler, furious at his failure to crush Britain, shifted strategies. If he could not invade by land, he would break the British people from above. And so began the Blitz. From September 1940 to May 1941, wave after wave of German bombers pounded British cities night after night. London, Coventry, Liverpool, Birmingham, no city was spared. The Luftwaffe targeted factories, railways, docks, and homes, reducing entire neighbourhoods to rubble. Sirens wailed through the darkness, sending thousands of civilians rushing to underground shelters. Fire crews worked through the night, battling flames that lit up the blacked-out sky. Inside Britain, morale frayed. The blackouts stretched longer. The rationing tightened. Smoke and ruin replaced once thriving streets. Part 3. A Voice of Defiance. And yet, through the darkness, one man's voice still held the nation together. Prime Minister Winston Churchill. As bombs fell over London, he walked its streets, defiant. He inspected the rubble, visited the wounded, and stood alongside the people unshaken. His defiance was Britain's defiance. Even in the War Cabinet, not all believed they could endure. There were whispers, hushed, hesitant, that perhaps Britain should seek terms with Germany before it was too late. Lord Halifax, the Foreign Secretary, had already suggested it once. But Churchill refused. With words of iron, he had steeled Britain's resolve. "We shall never surrender," he had declared. And so Britain fought on. Even as the odds grew longer, Britain still stood, but just barely.